It's a trash.
Oh, watch out for Bob. Watch out for Bob.
Oh, I'm sorry, Bob. Let me just question.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Al, you're probably the youngest one here, so.
Oh, gee, thanks.
It's a big fifth grader.
Those need to be passed down,
Right?
buddy.
Passed down?
Wow.
Hours?
Hey, you might be, I'm sorry.
Oh, this is the recess.
What? Do I need that?
I don't know what it is.
I don't either. Do I need
We'll review that
Put it
when the
aside
time
till-
comes.
I'll put it,
Okay.
It's just-
I gotcha.
Yeah.
okay, public comments?
What?
Thank you, Al.
Public comment? Any public comment?
I didn't mean to make it fun of your age.
We have a packed audience
They're
tonight.
sleeping.
Friendship over.
It's over?
Our friendship, it's over.
Okay, now they're younger now.
They couldn't get a view of traffic in downtown.
Minutes.
Minuets?
No comments? Okay, minutes.
I will make a motion to approve the May 8th public session meetings with the changes.
Do you have any changes? Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
I'll second.
Paul?
Aye.
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 Okay, thank you very much. All right, non-public?
I will make a motion to approve the non-public with the major minor change.
Second.
Okay, then Paul.
May
I have corrections.
8th. Okay.
Does everybody have a copy of the
Yep.
non-public in front? Go to page 2. 1, 2, the third dot down. Peg made the motion to approve 15. 15 what? To be dollars. It went from 10 to 15. Now, I ask you to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and go down to that dot. And I don't know if anybody caught this, but the person that we nominated there, we're going to get $83,000 as student director services for a 3-year contract. Should be a first-year contract
In the first year.
in the first year.
So
But, and we're going to get that person a 3-year contract.
Right,
the first.
That's what we, but that ain't what that reads.
Right.
So the addendum
Three-year
would read,
Contract.
in the first year.
Okay, okay, got it. In the first year.
And a
With
three.
a 3-year
Yeah.
contract.
that's
Got
what-
it.
Okay,
Thank you.
everybody all set?
If we can go back to the third bullet, that I cannot believe I missed it.
The third dot, you mean?
Third dot.
Okay.
15 B-U-Y back. Not B-Y.
Yeah, you are right. Whoops.
Now, wouldn't that make that B a small b, though?
No,
You want to get
they could
technical?
both be small
Now we're
Bs.
splitting
getting really
hairs. So we're splitting some hairs now.
Now.
All set? Paul?
Aye.
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 Thank you very much.
Doug, does that mean on, if they take that contract?
Well, we've offered it, I'm not,
You haven't heard it? Okay.
but you have to talk about it, non-public.
Okay. I'm just wondering if,
Oh, I don't know.
Okay, superintendent report?
Today we haven't had it, we met with the chief and we looked at some areas with the administrative team and we're streamlining the report and the reports that are made within the schools as far as the police are concerned. And the chief was very kind during his time off. He actually took it and spent a great deal of time with the administrative staff. And what we're going to do is have a form that is used at both of the schools. Right now we have a very effective input from them. We have extraordinary support in lieu of the fact that many schools have SROs, despite the fact that we do not have an SRO. I'd like to commend them for going way beyond and giving us an extraordinary amount of time, and the crosswalks to them are very good. They do some very good things. Jan here from the high school, you can cite a couple, three of the main things. We worked on the transportation. You can talk about that. He talked about that today, how the bus transportation, we took a look at that and we made some adjustments. You could speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, so he looked at traffic flow around the school at drop-off and pick-up time. That's when we changed the signs last year, made it, no entry at the exit, because people were pulling in as buses were trying to drop off students with lights flashing. The new flow seems to go a lot better. Buses pull all the way up to the main entrance, not to the courtyard area, so we also don't get the traffic jam going down onto School Street. But he's also come in and worked with our crisis team on all of our emergency procedures, lockdowns, fire drills, so we've been able to update those procedures as well. We've been talking about the run, fight, hide, let me get it in the right order, run, hide, fight protocol with the staff, so practicing how could we first shelter, second barricade if we need to, 3 run, 4 fight back if we need to. So he's been great working with us on that.
Okay, I just want to comment on that. I wished we'd put the other signs at the one-way entrance, because the other day I was pulling out during school and somebody was trying to pull in and we almost had an accident. I think we
He's
should
there
have,
every morning and he.
well, he wasn't there, red and white at that time when I was right in the way. And
Also, too, at MES, the chief and I and the director of transportation, Tim Eldridge, will be meeting through July, so that next fall we will bring to the board a revised way that we're going to pick up and drop off there. We're going to do the same thing at MES that we've done at the middle high school, and we're going to work in Fidelity so we can come up with a plan on that. At the next school board meeting, I'll have an MOU, a memorandum of understanding for you to approve that we have worked on. We sent it out and we have the blueprint. We spent a great deal of time on it. And one of the things is, like I said, fidelity between each of the schools in terms of the form. So the investigation is solid, so they're fully aware, and I'll have the MOU for you folks to approve. You'll get it a week before the school board meeting, and we'll approve it at that point, and then it needs to be signed by the chair and myself and by the chief. So we'll have an update on that. PD, I'd like to commend the staff and the administration. Jan is here, and both of them have done a great deal of work. Melissa has worked, and Jan, we've had some subgroups, and we're tying in everything in the next 2 weeks, and we'll also have the PD plan to you at the next school board meeting. We'll send that out beforehand, and we were able to complete it in lieu of the time we meet again on Thursday at 2:30. But Melissa's subcommittee has met, and it's been great. We've had participation of all of the groups at the school, staff, and so forth, and they gave us some very good input. And I feel from what they've said that they feel that there's been a staff voice and that they've had communication, and that, as I said before, there was some feeling that perhaps the last time it was done that they didn't necessarily have the input and the voice, and I think it's very important, because one by one you have to make sure that they feel that they've had a say and a voice, and there's communication. So we're looking forward in the next 2 weeks, am I correct, to complete that. And I can't thank all the folks enough, because the coordination and the collegiality and the teamwork has been fantastic. And over the course of time, obviously, it'll be adjusted and reviewed. But I think we're coming up with some collegial things within the chief and the town, and in terms of the staff, where people are really having a say and a voice in getting together, so that when these things come to you, I hope that people feel that they've been heard and that there's a communication flow going on amongst them. John Safina is unable to come tonight. I gave you some key dates there. Doug, if you want to read those.
Okay, Milton Elementary School end-of-year events, Friday, May 24th at 9 a.m., Memorial Day Assembly, and public's invited. Then Wednesday, June 5th, Field Day, grades 3 through 5, chaperones only. Then Friday, June 7th, Field Day, grades K through 2, second grade, chaperones only. And Friday, June 21st, awards assembly, 10 a.m., grades 1 and 2, and I think it's 11 a.m., I don't have that, in grades 3 and 5. Is that a.m. or p.m.?
8.
11 p.m.?
Yeah, okay, it's gotta be a.m.
Let's go with that, Doug.
I don't think I could stay up that late.
Let's go
Me
with
neither.
11 p.m.
Friday, June 21st, last day of school, 12:10, and that will be p.m.
You're
Okay,
right.
we'll put that on the website, and he's done a great job communicating with you folks every week, and you have those dates, but I thought for community and people in TV land, it'd be nice for them to be aware of the dates, and we're gonna post them. When Jan gives her report in the middle high school, we've already talked about when the commencement date is, when the grad date, when the 8th grade moving up date is, but she will specifically speak to all of those important dates, because it is important to rejoice with the success that all of our students have had throughout all of the, it's really a good time at the end of the year, where we can make sure we go to those things, the parents attend, the friends and the town's folks attend, and she will speak to those things then.
Okay, Jan, I think you're up.
So you guys got this at the last board meeting. It was the senior calendar, which is in the back of the newsletter. But just to reiterate some of the dates, the senior class trip is June 1st and 2nd. That following Friday, June 7th, is their senior banquet. Everything they have due, obligations to pay for, missing textbooks, any work they need to turn in is due at 2:30 on that day. So we can calculate grades and confirm who's graduating. So then that next Monday, they start their rehearsals, and we give them their caps and gowns, so that's on the 10th. Some girls have already been asking about, decorating the hats. We told them to get them on the 10th. On the 12th, we have senior will assembly. If you'd like to attend, that's at 8:45 in the morning. And then they do their walkthrough at MES. Baccalaureate is also that night. Final rehearsals Friday, and graduation is Friday night at 6 o'clock. Right now, the high school beach day is the 3rd. The middle school is tentatively the 12th. They're still trying to find lifeguards. So if they can't find a lifeguard, then they don't have beach day. So if anyone knows of lifeguards who'd be available to help out on the 12th.
I think you have one on your, right there on your
Are
left.
you a lifeguard?
I'll look into submitting my recertification.
All right.
Pledge, he's the pledge and the lifeguard,
All
so
right.
we have.
June 20th is the 8th grade promotion celebration, and then also 21st is our last day of school.
You all set, Jan?
Check.
And I'll say-
Got Got that done, see?
Okay, moving on. Going to, we have a couple of guests that will be here, but they're not here yet. So we're gonna go to Bus Beds, please.
Sorry, the 8th grade is leaving tomorrow morning to New York City.
Woo.
They'll be there at 5:45 in the morning.
And they're gonna cheer for the Yankees.
No.
No.
How did the plant sale go?
I don't know,
Okay.
sorry.
He had a lot more this year.
Got a lot more plants, right?
Yeah, he had really expanded it this year.
Doing a good job with that.
Really good, yeah.
So,
All right, I'm gonna go.
okay, moving on to Bus Bed. We got 2 bids.
Yep.
Received May 6th, 2019. Bid 1 was Vern Larkin for $2,111. And bid 2 was from the Bean Farm, and that was $800. And Tim did make a recommendation that we go with bid 1.
I'll make a motion, we go with bid 1 for $2,111.
I will second that.
Peg, okay. Do we have any more discussion? Peg?
Aye.
Okay.
I was gonna say no.
Aye.
Having more discussion.
I gotta be fair about this, Peg. Okay, we had a discrepancy in the
Yeah.
calendar.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Yes.
I had given you the heads up
Right.
last
Just the
time.
Yeah.
We met, Christine Heichel, in fact, picked up on it. She was trying to get some things done, some dates, and then we looked into it. It was kind of ironic because we spent so much time and we met with the association and we looked at the PD days and Paul got school starting when he wanted it to be and
Yeah.
everything was on a roll, but fortunately, there's no change, Paul, in terms of when we start school.
worry.
What we did is change the vacation time in terms of the
Oh, yeah,
April
for the April
vacation, so
vacation.
we could coordinate with Rochester and all of those area schools.
So it's still a win in my book, yep.
So-
Can I have a motion
so,
and a second?
You know, the PD days are the same and everything else.
For the
A motion
change?
to amend the new calendar.
Oh,
Second.
all right. Speaking up.
Teamwork.
P.E.
Peg?
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Yeah, you all set. Moving
That
on.
was done.
Good. Okay, page 11, all that is description. He did this because I think we have a couple of custodians that will be retiring in November 2019. So that's all. Did everybody read it and like the job description?
Yes.
Okay, moving on. All right, field trip. This one's to Spain. All right, anybody have?
No, it's just for information.
I think we could, I asked if anybody has any changes. We'll look it over, and if you have any changes, we can bring it back.
I think it's important to note how important these experiences are. We interviewed for the CVID Awards this week, and one of the candidates for it spoke very well and very long about the career they were going to go into and how much of an impact the chance to go on these trips were.
Bring it back.
And it was very remarkable to hear the insights. And we asked her where it is that she derived these worldly ideas, and she commended the fact that she had gone on these. So I'd like to commend Mrs. Anderson for taking the time and planning this out, because it's extraordinary experiences for those kids that take part in this. And it not only is an experience that they have for that time, but careers are formed and dreams are formed on what they might do as a result. It really opens up horizons. And I just wanted to point that out, because sometimes you connect the dots and you hear this and you're going, well, this is amazing, the insight that she had. And she specifically pointed out what an impact this really had. So I'd like to commend her for the time on this. It's not an easy thing to do.
I will make a motion to approve next year's trip to Spain.
Do I have a second?
Sure you do.
Paul?
Aye.
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 All right. I'm going to go back and my secretary told me I should like to approve
Yes.
the job descriptions for, does anybody have anything for these job descriptions? We ought to have that laid out and approved by the board.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, all right.
I'll second that.
Who made it? Peg? Is it Peg again?
Pardon?
I made a motion, Peg second.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Peg, I got that. Okay. Paul?
Aye.
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 All right. Wait, thank you, secretary. Watching out for us. We may have to, we're in.
Do some recess.
All right,
Not
where are
that
we
kind of
going?
recess.
No, I got
This
some
recess.
stuff for you. Under old business,
Oh.
I checked on that letter, it was saying thank you to Carter Terry.
Oh, yeah, yep.
I got that taken care of today. We found out who the company was. We didn't have that before, and that was what holding up.
And also, I sent email out to him that all of you received to thank him in advance of the correspondence. I think Peg Heard wrote back and also commended him and thanked him for that as well. So
Yeah.
that was really, really important, and we want to thank him again.
Okay. The other thing is I'd like to,
Doug,
no,
while
sorry.
we're talking about Carter Terry and its old business, I guess my question is, where are we with that scoreboard? And I would like to have some sort of an update.
B was I'm looking for a status on it by next meeting.
Okay, good, thank you.
Can we get that done?
Yes,
Stay on top of that?
Mr. Adams will give us an update.
Okay.
Doug,
Oh.
I have some old business, and that would be you, sir. Happy birthday.
Day to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear
The governance,
Douglas.
Happy birthday to you.
Figured old business is the place to put it.
It says happy birthday, governance, Doug.
Yes.
All of you people put me in that position, so thank you
Yeah.
very much.
We didn't make it this age, though.
I'm glad,
Okay.
because I'd have to get a fire permit for my candles.
Well, I just about slipped. I said something about Paul Steer, and Doug said, "Oh, you talked to Paul. Did he have anything for the school board meeting?" And I said, "I
Just
can't
that.
tell you, Doug." He
Just
was-
a-
he was
just a
in
cake.
suspense.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thank
thank
you
you,
all.
Paul.
That was like,
I was the one that picked it up. What's that?
all right.
Yeah, we'll do
We
that
got
during a
plates?
little recess. We'll have a
We're
little
gonna have a
recess.
recess, 'cause we're moving
You should
right
see the
along.
napkins we have.
Okay. The other thing I
We love
want
the
to
store.
bring up is, I want to bring up about the budget committee again. I think everything that's being requested to the budget committee needs to go to the whole board, right up front, so that we know it's being asked. And we're all familiar from now on, the questions and then the answers that are given to them, okay? So we know,
I do not have the answers, all of the answers that Nate has provided.
yeah, okay.
Um,
It would be good for us, because if we get asked a question and somebody else knows the answer before the rest of us do, it's going to be embarrassing for us. So that's my,
all right, I will
That's
be
m-
more than happy to,
convey that.
all of my answers.
Okay, and any questions that come from them, we need to hear,
It's true, yeah.
okay? I like
And,
that.
you know, while that's being said, the IDEA, I know that there was some questions that people posed, and why don't you give us the input on that, Melissa?
Sure. I don't know, they have the exact figure, but it's 29 and some change was added to our fiscal year 19 IDEA grant, so that needs to be used up by September 2020. So that's good news, getting extra funds. On the flip side, it's possible our funds will be slightly reduced in the future because prior to recently, districts didn't count, or the state didn't count students that were in private schools in districts as part of their total student count, and they should have. So now districts with non-profit private schools in their districts could see an increase in funds from IDEA, and that leaves fewer funds for districts without nonprofit private schools within their district geographically.
So you have to spread the money more places now.
And if I can just add, because I did not realize this last night at the budget committee when I brought that up, that the one school in our town is for-profit.
Yes.
So we're probably going to see reduced funds.
Well,
I was just told it was a school and
Will that money go to them?
I don't know what,
No,
they don't get
They
anything.
do not
For profit does not get money.
Okay.
Correct, okay, all right.
from the IDA grant.
So that, you know, as these questions come up, we have the administrative team, you can refer them to us so that we can send the answer around so these clarifications can, you know, so we can work on it as a team on them, right? Is that?
Go ahead, okay.
Okay.
No, the other thing, I think I saw an email today that they've extended the deadline to 2020 for the facilities money. Did I saw the email?
We've been,
Yeah, they gave us an extension and then they extended everybody.
What, 6 months, a year, or
December of next year.
you have 2020? I thought I read that. in
you know,
somebody's
you know, it's so dynamic that I've been sending these things out to the team all of the time. You know, the different grant funds, and they change almost like the stock market. And it just very, you know, it's involved, very involved. So therefore, if you have questions about that, give them to me, and then I work with the administrative team on it so everybody's on the same page. That's good, thank you.
Is your second person here yet? I don't see.
There's still one more person coming, but we can start.
You want to start?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, all right.
Sure.
It's Emily and, I don't, Emily and Emily
And Al
and Al
and Denise is on her way.
and Denise, okay, all right. You have the floor.
So, just to recap the idea of what we started talking about a couple weeks ago, but the idea was to extend recess, extend outdoor, unstructured outdoor playtime for a few reasons. More movement, obviously, but also to help kids with regulating emotion, problem solving, creative thinking, and they need more time to do that. So we talked about that a little bit at the last meeting, and since then, Emily and I sat down with Earl and Christy and John and had a meeting sort of about some pragmatics of extending the recess time. And I have for you a handout John worked on, sort of.
We got the,
You both got them, okay.
everybody should have
Yeah,
it.
they got them down there, I guess. Sort of looking at what does it look like to keep it at 20 minutes, what does it do to make it 30 minutes, and what does it do to make it 40 minutes a day, as potentially like a first step towards maybe even a longer recess, or perhaps that recess as well as an additional movement, time outside in the morning or something. So to sort of look at the two sort of main roadblocks are hours that we report to the state, and also teachers' contracts for covering recess time. So this is we sat down and worked on it, and here's a chart that he made that you can look at later. But we sort of said, let's look at what each recess time looks like, and
Hey, who made this chart?
Mr. Sakina and John Sakina.
It's all explained and behind it how we got to it.
He couldn't come tonight.
Couldn't come tonight, but I want to thank him and Ms. Heichel for they were very quick to respond and set up time to meet with us, and we had a good meeting, a positive meeting together. We all agreed on the necessity of movement for kids, and are talking about the idea of what effect not just movement but play could have on kids as well. Which is why the timing is so important, because movement can be accomplished in a short amount of time, but play can't necessarily be. So I want to thank them for that. And just to respond to something you asked about last time, Doug, we said, is there another public school doing this? I'm sure there are. I haven't gotten as far into my research as I wanted to. I do know that there's a school in Illinois that's a Timber Nook certified school, and they have to have at least 45 minutes for recess. I also, there's a, hold on. I don't know about the school name. I'm sure that there are more. I just haven't had enough time to go searching for specifically, but I knew about that one, so I wanted to mention it. But I also have here the New Hampshire Survey on Physical Activity and Physical Education in Public Schools, and there is, I can find it and copy it and give it to you, where they talk about 47 minutes of recess did not negatively impact academic progress for kids. So I'll find that for you later.
What was the school that you did?
It's a school in Illinois. I'll have to look
Oh,
it up. I can
okay.
send it to you.
Okay.
But I just know, like, thinking off the top of my head without going any further, I know they have to, because to be a Timber Nook certified school, you have to have at least 45 minutes of recess. So, hi Denise, just in time. And so, just in time. So, so some of us from the group that have been reading and talking about this have come tonight just to share a couple things with you. And first up, I'd like to ask Denise if she'd share a little bit with us. I know you had commented last time, Doug, that the author of the book we're referring to, Barefoot and Balance, is not a teacher but an OT, and Denise is an OT, and I thought she could maybe help us understand a little bit about what an OT is and why they are qualified to speak on this. And then I actually have some specific information from one of the OTs at Milton Schools. So I'll pass that out. Do you want to talk to us, Denise, real quick?
I'm Denise Trapton. I'm an occupational therapy professional, a graduate of New, so I love my alma mater. And for the last 30 years, this is what I've done as a profession. Our focus is often on work, self-care, leisure, and play. It's a pie that is considered to be what we address, and that pie is for anyone from birth to death, and whatever a person needs to address or wants to achieve in that time. In the schools, our relationship is to collaborate very closely with teachers, superintendents, special ed departments, paraeducators, on how can a student access his or her environment, whether it be most of the time their work is school, and that include their ability to do handwriting, to participate in social activities, to tolerate paying attention in class, to play. And the literature shows that unstructured play can be best for a student to be able to acquire what they need in the classroom, to be able to capture their strengthening, endurance, attention and concentration. We have a society of children and adults who do less, unwired. They're focused more on scheduled activity. They are not as strengthened when they come to school through preschool. We find developmentally many of the students, and I'll use an example, when I worked in the Rochester School District, we had a student who just did not have the ability to tolerate sitting at the desk long enough to do handwriting tasks. And we did a consultation and collaborated with the teacher to find out what can we do, what kinds of compensatory strategies can we present to assist these students to be able to achieve what they need to be able to do in the classroom. And one of those things was to take them out for unstructured play as part of their IEP. 15 minutes on the playground to get joint compression, to work on strengthening, to work on endurance, and then that translated to in the classroom, they were able to better pay attention, they were able to tolerate sitting longer, and they were able to successfully complete what was required of them in the class. And as culture has gone on through the years, those opportunities are less and less for many students. Another example, we had a conference of an occupational therapist who provided services to the Hampton School District, and she collaborated very closely in Hampton and Rye. And she explained how she had a student who the teacher said, Timmy isn't getting anything done, so I'm gonna keep him in for recess. And she said, well, you think Timmy didn't get anything done before recess, he's not gonna get anything done after recess. Because he didn't have that ability to have that play to improve his development. The objective of play, I mean, it's what we start off doing developmentally. First thing that OTs do when they're working with students at home, preschool students who have been born premature prior to coming to school, is all revolving around play. It's what can we do, what can we use to strengthen, to improve firing of those neurons, to help them with planning, positioning, with all the diagnoses. You know, when you see the differences in diagnoses nowadays, and there's a lot of literature out there saying, you know, it's the lack of movement that we're all doing that causes it more difficult.
I have a question, probably for our group. Do we happen to have an OT room in either building?
The elementary school, it's a shared space, but OT has.
Okay. The only reason that I'm asking is
I was going to use that as an example.
Rochester Middle
Yeah,
School
in
has
Rochester
an
Middle
absolutely
School.
fantastic
Yeah.
OT room, and hanging swings and trampolines, and
Students would come up for unstructured play, you know,
Yep.
they had an objective if they
Yep.
got something finished, because I worked in the school with
Yeah.
you.
I know.
And, they could come up and have a 10-minute break, they came up with a pass.
Yep.
We had suspended equipment from the rafters.
Oh, yeah.
Several hooks. You know, you have to be careful, you know, maintenance had to be very involved in where they placed the hooks, but every one of the schools in Rochester had a sensory integrative space, even a space to assist students with calming. You know, they always had a calming room where we had dark room with lights, with, lighted, different things that would entice their senses to be calming. And we had that room up there in the back
That was
corner.
awesome. Awesome, because I know I subbed a
Right.
couple of times.
And we collaborated
It's fun.
often with how do we get these students to have better behaviors.
Right. And I think it's important to point out that a lot of what we do in OT spaces, we're mimicking things that naturally happen outside. That you can't, that even that we can do our best to get close to it, but it's never going to be exactly the same. Both the calming of the emotions, the work that they do, and the fact that really that should be available to all kids, not just to kids who have an IEP.
And you can do that, that's why schools that didn't have it, we're out on the swing set.
Right.
At Carl Lam and Sanford, we
Yes.
were on the swing set every day, we take students out for 15, 10-minute breaks.
And some of the things that we're telling kids specifically not to do on playgrounds are things that OTs are specifically telling kids to do.
You want to
Spinning on swings
Wanna
and things
stand.
like that, jumping and things like that. And I just want to draw your attention really quickly to this paper. This letter was written by an OT at our own school, saying that 30% of our kids have a developmental delay that is addressed through OT, and that she's saying that play is the solution, and extending recess time will provide additional time for exploration, development of skills, and overall mood enhancement, and lists some of the benefits. And so I think that's important because it speaks directly to our school.
You don't mean 30% of our population, do you mean 30% of our identified? I'm just wondering where that figure
I believe it
came
is
from.
30% of the identified.
Okay, all right, 'cause that seems, because we have
Yeah,
less than 30%
Yeah, sorry.
identified, so.
Yeah. So I think that's helpful information. So that's specifically our school, though I think it mimics a lot of schools actually. But
There are so many things, outside, you get your joint compression, your sensory integration. All the things that, as you said, that we tend to say to our children or to students, don't do that, don't do that. We want them to be exploring, we want them to be climbing, we want them to go higher, we want them, to go outside of their boundaries, because then it helps them develop and enhance their skills.
Do we think a lot of this, in part, is due to kids playing computer games on their phones,
Yes.
inside, not outside? I mean,
And
I used to be out.
and a cultural that's not safe. This idea that kids are less safe when they're
Don't
actually
do
more
that, you're gonna
safe.
get dirty.
Yep.
Even the biggest example was, now we have baby carriers that years ago, you pick the baby up, baby had bobblehead. They have bobblehead for a reason. That is strengthening their core and helping them have improved endurance developmentally, so that when they get to school, they can tolerate sitting instead of being floppy doll all over the desk. And then the teacher thinks their behavior, it isn't. They can't.
Yeah.
They have never had tummy time development. They have never had play, free play inside or outside.
And certainly we can't, the recommendation is for kids to play outside for 4 hours a day. We can't control what happens the 3 hours that, the other 3 hours. We can't control what they're doing with their babies. This is a larger conversation. We need to have these conversations with child care centers and before and after care centers. But we can at least do our part and create a culture and educate people on why we do it. So thanks, Denise. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Denise.
Thank you, Rick. Anybody else? Anything else?
I just wanted to comment on the difference between structured play and unstructured play. And I think the big difference is when you have the playground equipment or the specific games that's structured play, there's a goal, there's a purpose for this, there's a direction, there's a way to do it, versus unstructured play where you kind of get to be imaginative and you make your own game and you climb on something your own way, and that actually triggers. So structured play triggers a part of the brain in the back, and I'm happy to share this research with you, triggers part of your brain in the back that you picture something and this is what you do with it, this is what you do with it. If I ask you to picture a bowl of cereal or a bowl of fruit, you can visualize and picture a bowl of fruit that's coming from a stored spot in your brain. Free play would be asking you then to take that bowl of fruit and have them have a conversation with each other. That's not a memory you have, that's not a specific spot, so it engages other parts of your brain, left and right, and it engages more of it where you have to come up with, well, what would a banana say? What accent do we have? My dogs have accents. When I tell stories to my friends about my dogs all have accents. My kids have attitudes, my dogs have accents. So free play and opening up space and eliminating structures or refining boundaries on the structures allows for free play and engages different parts of their brains, and it engages them to come up with a game. A stick can be a tool in multiple different games, or it can be a weapon and put it down and don't play with it. Rolling down a hill can be part of a game, and kids trigger different emotions and act them out, and they learn how to engage with those through free play. So I just think that's an important part of what we kind of talked about a couple weeks ago, was brought up with just what little space we do have for recess. So I know the PTA has been wonderful over the years with donating equipment. I feel like it's time to say thank you, but spend your money somewhere else and give us a little more room for the kids to have free play. I thought that was an important point to bring up, is just cut back on some of the rules, let them be on their belly on the swing. Type of thing, and explore free play and engage different parts of the brain, and not just have an end result that oh, I scored, I win, but rather like, oh, well, let's try it this way.
Sounds kind of like Montessori philosophy.
Yes, very much so.
My 2 grandsons in North Carolina went to Montessori. It's like, oh yeah, I can use this for anything I want, and bang, bang, and
My favorite experiment that I've ever, not experiment, but activity that I ever did when I was working at the school was I gave the kids a piece of paper, and on both sides was a circle. On the first side, I said, finish this picture of a flower. And it was kind of, all of them made the circle the middle of the flower, or they made it the sun and drew flowers underneath. Then a couple weeks later, it was the same circle, the same piece of paper, and I just said, finish this picture. And 20 minutes later, most of them had flowers, a couple of kids had other things, and some kids had absolutely nothing because they didn't know how to engage the parts of their brain that were like, well, I don't have a direction. What do I do? What am I expected to do? How do I make Mr. Al happy? How do I get 100 on this? That wasn't the goal. The goal was finish the picture, be imaginative, make it whatever you want. So it's interesting to see kids elementary all the way to high school with the inability to do something outside of their comfort zone because they don't have time to explore it, because we're so structured with everything.
Everybody else set?
I wrote it, so I apologize. I'm just going to read. But My interest in our school and in this topic is as a parent and a community member. I'm the mom of a 3-year-old and a current kindergartner, and I wanted to share a little bit about our experience with you. First, I want to be clear that my daughter loves kindergarten. She loves her teachers, she loves learning, and she loves her friends. As a family, we've been impressed with the dedication of the teachers and staff. We love the small school community where everyone knows and cares about every child. However, the brevity of recess has impacted our lives outside of school in a way I imagine is fairly typical. After the start of kindergarten last fall, we immediately noticed a change. Our daughter comes home from school literally unable to calm her body, her mind, or her emotions. She's a whirlwind in constant frenetic motion. She's very quick to anger and unable to regulate her behavior or her emotions. This is not behavior she displays at school. At school, she generally follows the rules relatively well, and she succeeds academically. Often these difficulties are subscribed to kindergarten being the first experience for a child away from home in a school setting, and the difficult transition away from napping. That may well contribute in many cases, but I wonder if the restriction of developmentally appropriate unstructured play and outdoor time is also a significant factor. My daughter has attended daycare and preschool from the age of 4 months. Often from before 8 a.m. until almost 6 p.m., a longer day than she has now. She has not napped at school for years. The biggest difference between her routine a year ago and her routine now is that she spent hours a day outside at her preschool. This decrease in her opportunity for physical activity, unstructured playtime, and outdoor time has made a significant impact on her. Shortly following the start of the school year, after watching this change in our child, I mentioned what we were experiencing to a few people at school and put our family on the record, so to speak, as supporting a longer recess. The universal response was that extending recess would be wonderful, but it wasn't practical, and reassurance that a reaction such as our daughter's was typical. It makes me so sad to think that it is typical that our children are reacting this way and we can't find a way to provide what they need to be happy people and productive learners. This current discussion has encouraged me to want to reconsider whether it's really true that there's nothing we can do. I understand that there are more and more demands on our schools, which create strain on our teachers and staff and on the school system as a whole. However, I'd like to suggest that we think of increasing free play, outdoor time, and physical activity in the same way as we think of providing breakfast at school. Historically, schools did not serve breakfast. However, school communities have found that an increasing population of students are not able to have a nutritious breakfast at home before school. It's been well established that having eaten breakfast is linked to improved concentration, better test scores, and of course, healthier children and adults. Studies show the same is true of free play, outdoor time, and physical activity. You may believe that families should be providing these opportunities outside of school hours, and I agree. However, for many families, that isn't realistic. In some families, outdoor playtime is simply not a priority, but in many families, there are barriers such as time, space, and supervision. In our family, outdoor time is definitely a priority. However, with a tiny yard and 2 working parents, it's very hard for us to provide much opportunity during the week. We get the girls up and fed and off to school in the morning. In the evening, we often pick them up at aftercare at 5:30 and head home for dinner, story time, and bed. This is a national problem, certainly not specifically a Milton issue. Over the past several decades, public school recess has continually eroded. Until now, some schools do not even offer recess. However, across the country, there is a growing recognition of the importance of recess time and a movement to reverse that trend. The Center for Disease Control and the American Academy of Pediatrics both recognize the importance of play and recommend 60 minutes of physical activity or recess a day. A 2015-2016 study by the New Hampshire Division of Public Health Services reiterates the same recommendation, stating the positive outcomes of improving student health, improving academic performance, and supporting positive behavioral outcomes, such as better classroom behavior. This New Hampshire report even cites a study showing that increasing physical activity time by 47 minutes per day, while reducing instruction time by the same 47 minutes per day, did not have a negative effect on academic achievement. Arkansas just passed a law mandating 40 minutes of recess per day, and Connecticut is working on requiring 50 minutes a day, while individual public schools across the country are making these changes without a mandate. I'm so glad that our administration is open to considering this concern and looking for potential solutions. I would like to personally thank Principal Safina and Vice Principal Heichel for the time they've taken to discuss this. And I hope our district can be among those that are on the forefront of finding creative ways to provide our students with this basic health and developmental need.
Thank you very much. Anybody else?
Good job.
Before I close it?
Well written.
What was your last name?
Terry.
Oh, I thought so.
Yeah.
But thank you.
All right. Okay, anybody else? Great, thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
So I think we could take a recess.
Can it be an
No pun
hour?
intended.
Exercise outside, cake and ice cream.
Cake and ice cream.
Okay.
Ooh.
I make a motion, we take a
Oh, I'll second
10
that one.
10-minute.
10-minute recess?
Second that.
Okay.
Duh.
Excellent.
Uh,
Aye.
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 Somebody like to cut the cake?
Wait a minute, you didn't finish your eyes.
Yes, I did. Aye. We all did.
Aye. We were being rude. We did it all at the same time. Sorry, Sandy.
That's right, we didn't do it really well.
Oh.
Yeah, you take
So
the cake.
Denise, where are you now?
Yeah. You
Paul, say aye.
gonna take some, eat some
Thank
cake?
you.